On our 7th wedding anniversary, Marcus brought his mistress home. To appease her, he tossed an abortion appointment slip at me. The soonest is tonight. Get rid of the baby. Chloe's pregnant, and she can't be upset. Be a good girl, listen to me. Once I've appeased her this time, I'll let you have a baby. My hand, holding the appointment slip, trembled. In 7 years of marriage, I had been pregnant 6 times. Each time, it was because his pampered mistress threw a tantrum, forcing me to get an abortion again and again. After the first 5, my body was at its limit. The doctor told me to take care of myself, or I would become infertile for life if I had another abortion. Clearly, Marcus had forgotten. Okay. I clutched the appointment slip, nodding obediently. As I left, his friend tried to reason with him. Bro, isn't this the 6th time? Aren't you afraid Grace will be heartbroken and leave you? Marcus blew a casual whistle, unconcerned. Afraid of what? Grace is a helpless orphan, and she's disabled. Can she survive without me? My hand tightened on the appointment slip, but I said nothing. 7 years had passed. It was time for me to leave. I took out my phone and sent a text message to someone. The 7-year pact is up. I need to go. They immediately called, but I pressed the screen to end the call. Holding the abortion appointment slip, I was about to leave when Marcus seized my hand. Grace, are you taking me for granted? I told you to get rid of the baby, but you're holding the appointment slip. Where are you planning to run off to now? I shook off his hand, my voice cool. Don't worry, I won't run. I'm going to the hospital. Ha, my dear Grace, you always joke around. When has bro ever told you to get an abortion and you actually went and did it obediently? Every time you've hidden, making bro spend a lot of effort to find you. Are you not trying to hide again this time? He bet 10 million that I would try to hide again and have the bab. Why, hoping to use the child to tie Marcus down and make him change his mind. But this time, they were wrong. Since the 7-year pact was up, whether I had this child or not no longer mattered. I shook off Marcus's hand and told him seriously, I'm really going to the hospital. If you don't believe me, you can come with me. Seeing my certainty, Marcus moved out of my way. But his mistress, Chloe, suggested, it's freezing outside, and the roads are bad. Why not have the family doctor perform the surgery for my sister here at home? The house was not equipped for surgery, but no matter how much I protested, Marcus remained indifferent. I was roughly forced onto the operating table. Just as the doctor was about to administer anesthesia, Grandpa called, ordering Marcus to release me. She is a spiritual. If she can bear a miraculous for our family, she will ensure our family's lasting prosperity. You scoundrel, are you trying to ruin our family? Slam, Marcus decisively hung up the phone. His face darkened, and he smashed his phone onto my disabled leg. That injury was sustained while saving him, it festered repeatedly, infected the bone, and caused the bone to deteriorate. I became lame. I hissed in pain. Marcus paid no attention, immediately cursing at me. Grace, you hypocritical, selfish, and vile woman, didn't you say you'd agree to the abortion? Then you turn around and complain to Grandpa, using him to pressure me. How shameless can you be? Do you think if you have a child, you can tie me down? Make me change my mind? I'm telling you, dream on. Only believes your nonsense, you liar. You vile woman. Brother, don't be angry. You have stomach problems, and anger will only make your stomach hurt again. Chloe pulled him, patting his back to soothe him. My tears streamed down my cheeks, my chest aching. I didn't lie. Grandpa spoke the truth. Marcus was about to curse at me again, but Chloe stopped him. She suggested, since my sister is a spiritual, she must have a blessed protection. It wouldn't hurt if she didn't have anesthesia, right? If my sister can endure it, she's truly a spiritual, and brother will naturally apologize to you. As for the baby, she can just have another one. But if she can't endure it, then my sister is a liar. No. I instinctively blurted out. My pleading eyes looked at Marcus, begging him to let me go. Even a spiritual is flesh and blood, how could I endure the pain of having my insides ripped open? Marcus looked at me, a flicker of hesitation in his eyes. Chloe pouted and scoffed, brother, if you don't agree, I'll be angry. She stamped her foot and turned to walk out. The kiddo was angry again. Marcus frantically chased after her, grabbing her hand. Honey, don't be angry. I'll do whatever you say. I stared wide-eyed at Marcus. He didn't even look at me, sending the anesthetist away and ordering the doctor, proceed with the surgery. I woke up 3 days later. The first person I saw upon opening my eyes was not Marcus, but Grandpa. He fell to his knees on the floor, guiltily kowtowing to me. It's all my fault. I didn't discipline that beast, Marcus, properly. How could he lay such a vicious hand on you? If I hadn't received the news in time and sent you to the hospital, another moment later, you might have died from the pain. That beast Marcus deserves punishment. Don't worry, I will teach him a good lesson. For now, I will arrange for the best specialists in the country to take care of your body. You are a sacred, please, for the sake of our family, you must bear a miraculous for us and ensure our lasting prosperity. Grandpa was filled with remorse, knocking his head against the floor 49 times. A cold sensation accompanied by excruciating cramping pain spread in my abdomen. I closed my eyes, firmly refusing him. 7 years ago, I accidentally fell into the water, and you saved my life. I was deeply grateful, and to repay your kindness, we made a 7-year CT. We agreed that within 7 years, I would bear a miraculous for the family, ensuring its prosperity forever. However, Marcus refused to let me have the child. In 7 years, I was pregnant 6 times, and he forced me to abort every single one. Even when I tried to hide, I couldn't escape his clutches. Buddhism values fate, and even more, keeping promises. Now that the 7-year pact is over, it would be excessive for Grandpa to try and bind me with past kindness. Moreover, in these past 7 years, Marcus forcibly caused me to miscarry 6 times. I can no longer have children. What? That beast ruined you to this extent? Grandpa staggered, his face pale. Large beads of sweat dripped from his forehead. Fortunately, his assistant quickly supported him, preventing a fall. Grandpa, my karmic debt is repaid. It's time for me to go. The baby was already 8 months old, fully formed. I couldn't bear for him to be a wandering ghost, so I bought a small red blanket, wrapped him carefully, and buried him in the backyard. I then chanted prayers for the departed for him all night, hoping he would be reborn into a good family in his next life. Returning to the mansion, I didn't see Marcus. Mrs. Davis said that when I had a massive hemorrhage from the abortion, he didn't take me to the hospital. Instead, he took Chloe on a trip to Hawaii. Fortunately, Grandpa arrived in time to send me to the hospital. She thought I would be sad and wanted to comfort me, but I just smiled calmly at her. I'm fine. You can go about your business. I went upstairs to the bedroom to pack. I was ready to leave. I put my Buddhist scriptures, prayer beads, meditation chime, and the hand-knitted booties I made for the baby when I was first pregnant into my suitcase. Just as I was about to turn to go downstairs, Marcus and Chloe returned. Mrs. Davis had just finished dinner, and Marcus looked up, calling me down. Grace, Chloe's pregnant. Hurry down and serve her dinner. I drag my suitcase downstairs. I don't have time. Marcus grabbed my wrist, pulled me back, and flung me to the floor. Grace, am I giving you too much leeway? You're not even listening to me now? He glared at me, his foot kicking my abdominal surgical scar. 3 days ago, that little life had been taken from precisely there. A tearing pain shot through the wound, blood stained the bandage, soaking the white robe red. You schemingly deceived my grandpa and found every way possible to marry me. Wasn't it just for money? Name your price. How much to serve Chloe one meal? In 7 years of marriage, he had humiliated me countless times like this. I was too tired to argue. I only remembered last time, when he brought Chloe back and aggressively desired her, yet he made me clean the filth off her. I refused. He stripped my clothes, poured dirty water all over me, and left me outside to freeze for an entire night. Later, I had a high fever for 3 days and nights, almost losing my life. I stood up, washed my hands, and walked to Chloe, serving her according to her requests. Marcus smiled contentedly, pinching my cheek. For the first time, he gave me a pleasant look. I'll have dinner with you for our wedding anniversary tomorrow. No sooner had he spoken than Chloe clutched her neck, collapsing to the floor and coughing violently. She looked as if she were about to die. Chloe, what's wrong? Marcus anxiously picked her up and told Mrs. Davis, quick, call the family doctor. It was the first time I had seen him so anxious. I tightened my grip on the suitcase handle and turned to leave when Marcus rushed down from upstairs. Grace, don't go. Hearing his anxious voice, my steps faltered. Did he go upstairs, discover I was leaving, and was now trying to stop me? I shook my head. It was too late, it was no longer needed. I walked forward without looking back. Marcus swiftly strode in front of me, his face cold, and seized my wrist. Apologize? Wah. Before I could finish my sentence, Marcus had already dragged me upstairs, kicking my knee. A sharp pain shot through my knee. Thud, I fell to my knees in front of Chloe. The floor was covered with shattered porcelain shards, and blood stained the white ground red. I gasped in pain. Marcus frowned, his face even more displeased. Grace, aren't you a spiritual? Why don't you chant your scriptures to stop the pain? How can you not even bear this much pain? A spiritual? Liar. Only is completely fooled by you. What did I do wrong that I need to apologize for? I struggled to get up. Marcus pressed me down fiercely. Chloe choked on the food you served her and almost lost her life. Shouldn't you apologize? I stared wide-eyed at Marcus. Such an absurd reason came from him. I suddenly understood why the goo had plummeted since he took over, on the verge of bankruptcy. But I was leaving, and I didn't want to cause any more trouble. I straightened up, knelt perfectly upright, then put my hands on the floor and respectfully kowtowed 3 times. I repeated, "I'm sorry, I was wrong," 3 times. Then, I looked at Marcus with indifference. I quietly asked him, "Can I leave now?" Staring at the blood seeping from my forehead, Marcus's chest visibly rose and fell. A hint of pain flickered in his eyes. "Does it hurt? I'll bandage it for you." He picked up the iodine to disinfect me, but Chloe suddenly coughed. "Brother, my stomach hurts." Marcus frantically dropped the iodine, ran over, and pulled Chloe into his arms. "Honey, let brother rub it for you." He lifted Chloe's clothes in front of me and gently rubbed her stomach. "Is this better?" Marcus's voice was soft and tender, unlike how he always spoke to me, which was always devoid of warmth. As his eyes were completely fixed on Chloe, I endured the pain in my body and quickly went downstairs. I dragged my suitcase out the mansion doors. I hadn't gone far when a hurried honk sounded behind me. Marcus, riding a Harley-Davidson, caught you. To me. He forcibly took me back to the mansion. Then, he slapped me across the face. "Grace, how could you be so malicious? Just because you lost your baby, you tried to make Chloe lose hers too?" I covered my face, staring blankly at Marcus, finally understanding what he meant. "Chloe had a miscarriage." I scoffed. "Didn't she just get pregnant? At most, a month? She doesn't even meet the conditions for an abortion." "Please, Mr. Marcus, how exactly did I make her miscarry? Was it because I served her food just now?" I stared coldly at Marcus, my sarcasm unconcealed. He became even angrier, gripping my neck and demanding, "Look, what is this disgusting thing?" Seeing the familiar small red blanket on the ground, my pupils constricted. Before I could speak, Marcus grabbed my hair and slapped me twice. "How can you be so vicious? Just because you couldn't keep your baby, you had to make Chloe lose hers too?" Blood seeped from my mouth, but I didn't care at all, nor did I care about Chloe's false accusations. All I wanted now was to pick up my child and find a new place to lay him to rest. I shuffled my feet, walked towards the child, knelt on the ground, and reached out to pick him up. Chloe suddenly stopped me, crying with tears streaming down her face, full of fear and grievance. "Sister, I know you don't like me and don't want me to have a baby with brother. You could have just told me openly, and I would have had an abortion myself. Why resort to this terrifying thing, using black magic to harm me? I almost died, a life for 2, boo-hoo-hoo." She tugged at Marcus's sleeve again. "Brother, Mr. Silas said that only by completely getting rid of this disgusting thing will I get better." The man wearing a gray robe and holding a whisk nodded. "That's right, it was this evil thing that caused Mrs. Miscarriage. It was bewitched. Only by completely destroying it will Miss recover." Chloe weakly asked, "Mr. Silas, what should we do with it?" "It's simple. First, pee the corpse, then feed it to wild dogs." I stared wide-eyed at Marcus in disbelief. "Marcus, this Mr. Silas is spouting nonsense, and you believe him? This isn't some disgusting thing in this blanket, and there's no black magic. It's your child. Are you truly so heartless? Will you not let him rest in peace even in death?" Marcus frowned, a hint of hesitation. Chloe suddenly knelt on the ground and kowtowed to me. "Sister, how can you lie again? Your baby was already aborted and turned into pulp. How could it be this disgusting thing? You're trying so hard to stop Mr. Silas from dealing with this disgusting thing. Are you deliberately trying to harm me again? I know you resent losing your baby. Vent all that hatred on me. It's my fault. I shouldn't have loved brother. I'll leave him, but you can't kill my baby. He's innocent." Chloe cried heartbrokenly, and Marcus's face immediately darkened. "Grace, it's come to this, and you're still lying. You've disappointed me too much." He snatched the whip from Mr. Silas's hand and personally lashed it down onto the baby's body. "No." I tried to intervene, but 2 bodyguards held my shoulders, forcing me to tremble on the ground. I could only watch helplessly as that tiny little body was instantly torn to bloody shreds. In that instant, dark clouds gathered over Marcus's head, all the merit I had accumulated for him vanished completely, and the Gu family's fortune was entirely gone. I instantly lost all my strength, slumping to the ground. My heart was broken. Chloe's tear-filled eyes looked at me, showing no trace of her previous fragility. The corners of her mouth turned up, revealing her triumph. After an unknown duration of whipping, Marcus ordered someone to bring the dogs. Hearing the barking, I finally jolted awake. I lunged at Marcus like a madwoman, snatching the whip from his hand. I raised it and brought it down hard. Marcus, everything you inflicted on him, I will get back from you. The barbed whip landed on Marcus's body with forceful thuds. In no time, his pristine white shirt was covered in countless red stains. He gritted his teeth in pain. Grace, are you crazy? He turned and roared at the bodyguards, quick, stop her. I pulled a gun from my clothing, cocked it, and aimed for the forehead of one of the bodyguards. A gunshot rang out. The bullet grazed the hair on his head. He turned pale with fright, his legs giving way as he fell to the ground. My calm voice, devoid of warmth, said to him, think about your family, your elders and young ones. For that meager salary, for a boss like this, is it worth risking your life? Witnessing my capability, he shook his head frantically. I added, take the dogs away. The two bodyguards immediately led the dogs away, fleeing as if their lives depended on it. My actions left the remaining 3 people stunned for a long time. Marcus's gaze shifted from anger and shock to an emotion I couldn't quite decipher. I lashed him 99 times. That was more than twice the number of times he whipped the baby. He wanted to resist but was powerless to do so. After his back was a bloody mess, I tossed the whip aside and walked over to Mr. Silas. He looked at me with terrified eyes, his voice trembling as he asked, what do you want? How much did Chloe pay you to slander me? I tore off the fake beard from his face and ripped off his wig. With every step I took closer, his body trembled uncontrollably. He fell to his knees with a thud, crying regretfully. Oh, 1 million. She said she would give me another million once she became Mrs. Gu. Chloe had long since turned pale with fright, covering her mouth and nervously watching me, completely forgetting to defend herself. I held out my hand. Give it to me. Mr. Silas looked confused. What? My brow furrowed slightly. He quickly realized, reached into his pocket for a check, and presented it with both hands. I glanced at the check and tossed it onto Marcus's face. Such a simple matter, Marcus, you're truly foolish. See clearly, who's the liar? Marcus looked down at the check, lost in thought. I knelt, picked up the baby's mutilated body, and carefully placed it in a newly prepared blanket. As I was about to leave, Marcus crawled up and grabbed me. Grace, are you crazy? What are you doing with that disgusting thing? Are you trying to harm someone else? He was so blind to the truth that I couldn't be bothered to explain further. I shook off his arm and handed him a copy of the divorce papers. Sign it. In 1 month, we'll get the divorce certificate. From now on, we're strangers. Marcus frowned at the words divorce. He was about to speak when Grandpa called. Marcus, you beast. You ruined the good marriage I found for you, all for some disreputable woman. If you don't appease Grace and have a child for the family, you will be the Gu family's sinner. Grandpa angrily hung up the phone. Marcus's gaze turned dark as he looked at me, his sneer unconcealed. He threw the divorce papers at my face. Grace, you are truly vile. You want to divorce me, then turn around and complain to Grandpa, using him to pressure me, to make me appease you? You've been by my side for 7 years and learned such dirty tricks. To stay with me, you'll resort to any despicable means. He pushed me, forcing me onto the sofa, and reached out to tear my clothes. That's right, after all, an orphan like you, without parents, and disabled, how could you survive without me? Isn't it just about having a child? Fine, I'll have one with you. He completely disregarded his own injuries, violently tearing at my clothes, and then called Mrs. Davis. Call all the maids in the house. Let them observe how their mistress has a baby with me. He crushed my dignity to dust. Unable to bear it any longer, I slapped him hard, pushing him away. I pressed the gun to his forehead. Let me go, or I won't mind going down with you. Marcus scoffed. Grace, that's enough. Yo. You are playing hard to get is getting old. I told you I'd spend our wedding anniversary with you tomorrow. With that, he put his arm around Chloe and left. The next day, hundreds of monks arrived at the mansion, kneeling before me. Their voices were uniform. Welcome back, sacred. I wore a white robe of bamboo leaf green, and one of the monks stepped forward to hold an umbrella for me. By the time Grandpa arrived, I had already left. He knelt despondently in the rain, knowing that the Gu family was truly finished. Meanwhile, at the hospital, Marcus quickly checked out after his wounds were dressed. For some reason, he was unusually agitated that day. Though his back ached intensely, he paid it no mind. As if possessed, he took out his phone, scrolled through his contact list, and finally saw my number at the very bottom. His finger hovered over the dial button for a long time. Finally, he sent a warning text message. "The wedding anniversary venue is ready. You'd better get your butt over here by noon and apologize, or don't even think about me forgiving you." My phone vibrated, and I instinctively opened it to see the video Marcus had sent. The most luxurious hotel in New City, a colossal sum spent to arrange a wedding anniversary party, its extravagance utterly jaw-dropping. Tens of thousands of roses, Juliet roses, airlifted in. He said we hadn't had a wedding when we married, and this anniversary would make up for my missed wedding. I had waited 7 years, and it had finally arrived. Unfortunately, I no longer needed it. I pulled out the SIM card, broke it, and threw it in the trash. I gave my phone to a pilgrim who had come to the monastery. Then I locked myself in the meditation room to chant scriptures for my formed child. At the hotel, Marcus waited and waited, but I never appeared. His chest thumped rapidly. He kept pulling out his phone, checking it, as if waiting for my call. It was already noon, and he finally couldn't resist dialing my number. But it kept saying, unanswered. He suddenly panicked, cursing at his phone. "Grace, you're getting bold, aren't you? Not replying to messages, not answering calls. Let's see how long you can hold out. Don't you dare come crawling and crying for my forgiveness." The hotel doors opened, and Marcus looked out in surprise. But it was Grandpa who arrived. "Grandpa, why are you here? Where's Grace?" He looked past Grandpa, not seeing the awaited figure, and felt a pang of disappointment. Slap. Without a word, Grandpa raised his hand and heavily slapped Marcus across the face. "You beast. Men of our family are loyal and righteous. How could a beast like you, worse than an animal, emerge from our family? You've utterly ruined our family." "Grandpa, what are you talking about?" Marcus was confused. "Did complain to you again?" Marcus was both angry and, strangely, a little thrilled. He gritted his teeth and said, "What else can she do but complain to you and use you to pressure me? Grandpa, this time, she's really pushed me too far. I won't forgive her easily." Grandpa slapped Marcus fiercely again. "What did she complain about to me? Do your stupid actions even need her to complain to me?" Grandpa's face was pale with rage. He pointed at Chloe, who was standing beside Marcus in a designer gown. "For a vile woman like this, you treated Grace that way? Are your eyes blind to the truth?" Hearing Henry's scolding, Chloe immediately looked aggrieved. "Grandpa, I know I'm an ordinary person, and you look down on me, but I'm a good girl. How can you slander me like this?" "Pfft!" Grandpa spat at Chloe. "What good girl shamelessly tries to be a mistress? I truly love brother. Who can control matters of the heart?" Chloe cried, her tears falling like rain. Her fragile, wronged appearance was truly pitiful. "Grandpa, Chloe is still young, don't." Before could finish, Grandpa raised his cane and struck him. "You, who are blind to the truth. She's 26, is that still young? Do why? Oh, you know how many evil things she's done? I know you won't believe it, but it doesn't matter. I have proof." Grandpa instructed his assistant to give Marcus the information he had collected about Chloe. "Look, this is your good girl." It turned out that Chloe frequently visited exclusive clubs in college to find wealthy men. She didn't care if they were young or old, as long as they gave her money. She had told many sugar daddies that she truly loved them. Her encounter with Marcus was also meticulously planned. She used Marcus to get rid of her previous patrons and even extorted money from them. Even after all these years with you, she was still seeing other people outside. She wasn't even sure whose child she was carrying. Worried that the child's birth would expose her dirty secrets, she paid a Mr. Silas to falsely accuse Grace. She took abortion pills herself to abort the baby prematurely. To make Grace completely give up hope, she not only bribed a private doctor to forcibly remove the 8-month-old child and suffocate him, but she also had Mr. Silas spout nonsense and whip the poor child's corpse. "That was your child. How could you be so cruel?" The more Grandpa spoke, the angrier he became. Finally, the rage overwhelmed him, and he coughed up a mouthful of blood. Marcus listened, his heart pounding with fear, staggering back a few steps. He shook his head frantically. Impossible. He couldn't believe he had wronged me, and that his own biological child had been suffocated to death by someone Chloe hired. But the video evidence was irrefutable. He had to believe it. Remembering the anger, despair, and hatred in my eyes when I looked at him, Marcus completely panicked. "What have I done to Grace?" He slapped himself twice across the face. He remembered. 7 years ago, when the Gu family was in decline, he was in a bad mood and got into a car accident while reckless driving. It was I who pulled him out of the car before it caught fire, saving hi. I, however, didn't have time to get far and was struck by flaming debris, damaging my right leg and making me lame. And he had mocked me for being disabled. But I wasn't angry. I still stayed by his side, caring for him, counseling him, helping him get back on his feet. Later, with my help, Marcus made a comeback, and the Gu family prospered. He was touched by my dedication, held my hand, and sincerely said he would marry me and treat me well for life. After we married, we had a happy period. We were a model couple, one managing the home, the other the business, living in perfect harmony, envied by all. When did this beautiful life begin to change? It was with Chloe's appearance that everything became different. He started staying out all night, harming me again and again to appease that girl, each time more excessively than the last. Until 2 days ago, when Chloe announced she was pregnant and wanted to move in, which led to this irreversible mistake. Ah! Marcus cried out in agony. He turned and stared at Chloe with a predatory look. It was all you, you wicked woman. You engineered all of this, killed my child, drove Grace away. I'll kill you. He grabbed Chloe's throat, his eyes bloodshot, like a ravenous beast. Chloe's face turned pale as he choked her. She cried, begging for mercy. Brother, I was wrong. Please, spare me. Spare you? Will forgive me? If forgives me, then I'll spare you. He dragged Chloe by her hair and pulled her into the car. But he didn't know where to find me. My appearance was both accidental and destined, but he had never asked me where I came from. Marcus knelt outside Grandpa's door for 7 days and 7 nights. Grandpa finally couldn't bear it and told him. Serenity Monastery. I had already chanted scriptures for the child for 7 days. After bathing and incense, I opened the door of the meditation room. Abbot, along with a group of monks, was already waiting at the entrance. Under the escort of the monks, I came to Th. main hall and knelt before the Buddha. Please, Abbot, ordain me. Have you thought it through? Once you take your vows this time, you can never return to secular life. I nodded. I have thought it through. 7 years ago, I returned to secular life to repay a kindness. Now that my karmic debt is repaid, I no longer wish to have any entanglement with the mortal world. I only wish to devote myself to cultivating Buddhism. I pressed my palms together, closing my eyes in devotion. Thank you, Abbot. Very well. Abbot began to ordain me, bestowing upon me the monastic name Wunyan. Free of all worldly attachments, I could now immerse myself in reverence for the Buddha. As the first lock of my hair was shaved off, a mournful roar echoed from outside the door. No. Grace, I was wrong, I misunderstood you. Our marriage isn't over yet. You can't take vows. Come back quickly, I haven't agreed to a divorce. Who gave you permission to take vows? He held up the divorce papers, trying to show them to me. Look, I haven't signed it. If I don't sign, it's not a divorce. You're still my wife. I promised you a proper wedding. We'll have many, many children. Grace, do you hear me? I forbid you to take vows. His voice was too loud, so several brothers covered his mouth and dragged him away. He didn't give up. The next day, he brought Chloe, bound. Grace, it was this wretched woman who schemed against you and sowed discord between us. I've caught her. Grace, as long as I deal with this woman, you'll forgive me, won't you? I was sweeping the courtyard, and the noise outside was too disruptive, so I tightly closed the door. Seeing that I ignored him, refusing even to see him, Marcus lost all hope. He cried, saying, "It's not that I don't love you. Chloe said you didn't really love me, you only loved my money, which is why you married me. She said you were a greedy woman who used every trick to deceive Grandpa and manipulate your way into marrying me, just for my Emily's assets. I wasn't convinced, so I used her to test you. But, I never expected you to be so indifferent. I brought her close to me in front of you, and you didn't even get angry. That made me believe Chloe's nonsense. So, to provoke you, I did even more outrageous things. I pretended to appease her, hurting you again and again, even forcing you to abort repeatedly. When I found that only by doing this did you react, I was happy, even excited. The fact that you wanted to have children with me meant you loved me. So, I was trapped in this cycle of trying to prove your love for me, and I couldn't escape. Marcus sat at the entrance of my meditation courtyard, weeping uncontrollably, repeatedly pouring out his inner pain, his conflicted feelings, and his love for me. But such a twisted love made my hair stand on end. I finally couldn't help but open the door. A look of surprise appeared on Marcus's face. Grace, you've forgiven me, haven't you? I know I was wrong, but I'll change. I pressed my palms together and shook my head at him. There's one thing I need to make clear to you. I never loved you. I saved you to repay a kindness. My marriage to you and my willingness to have children were all part of the 7-year pact with Grandpa, to repay his life-saving kindness and to bear a miraculous for the Gu family, ensuring its lasting prosperity. But clearly, the Gu family does not have that blessing. Our 7-year pact is over, and my karmic debt has been repaid. I will no longer be entangled with anyone from the Gu family. Go. From now on, I never want to see you again. Instead of wasting your time here, you should go before the Buddha and repent, atone for your sins. Marcus stumbled backward, his face ashen. No, it's impossible. What you're saying isn't true. How could you not love me? You risked your life for me. When I had nothing, you were willing to stay by my side and suffer with me. For my resurgence, you went out and sold prayer beads, bracelets, spiritual charms. I couldn't even drive you away. See, it wasn't that he didn't know my sacrifices. He simply chose to be blinded by Chloe. He believed her lies, hurting me again and again. When we first got together, it wasn't that I hadn't developed feelings, but whatever spark of emotion had begun was extinguished by his repeated hurts. He insisted on staying at the door, refusing to leave, even threatening to take me with him. It doesn't matter if you don't like me. I just need you to stay by my side and be with me. He brought rope, intending to tie me up. But Daniel and the others arrived in time, tied him up, and threw him out. From then on, he was banned from Serenity Monastery, his name a mark of shame. As a sacred, I received a constant stream of pilgrims seeking blessings. Later, I heard that the Gu family's business suffered a huge setback, losing everything in an instant. Grandpa fell ill and never recovered, passing away before deep. Marcus disappeared without a trace. 3 years later, during the Southern, I took the monastery's relief supplies to assist, and in the crowd, I saw a familiar figure. He had shaved his head and was wearing a monk's robe, helping to distribute supplies to the flood victims. Just as I pulled my gaze away, he looked over. I had just turned to leave when he put down the supplies in his hands and came after me. Grace. Marcus called out to me, his voice hoarse. I ignored him. He chuckled self-deprecatingly and continued, I'm sorry, I called out the wrong name. Master. My monastic name is Chanhui. I started to walk away, but he called out to me again. Can you let me finish? For the past 3 years, I've regretted it every single moment. So, after you sent me away, I listened to you and went to a small monastery near Serenity Monastery, chanting scriptures and repenting every day, atoning for my sins. I've also chanted scriptures for our child, praying for his passage, and for you, wishing you a lifetime of peace and safety. I didn't want to hear him ramble anymore, so I swapped places with brother and went to change dressings for the women and children. Seeing my resolute back, Marcus stumbled. He muttered to himself, you won't even say a word to me? He shed tears of pain and slapped himself hard. She'll never forgive me. Someone in the crowd called out to him, and he volunteered to join the rescue team heading to the flood-stricken area to save people. That night, another heavy rain began. Lightning flashed, thunder roared. The water level rose higher and higher, and the temporary shelters became unsafe, so the leader arranged for everyone to evacuate. We moved to a higher, safer location. 7 days later, the rain finally stopped. All the flood victims were properly settled, the rescue teams were preparing to withdraw, and I, along with the other monks, was also ready to return to Serenity Monastery. As I was packing, I heard someone call out, "Brother hasn't returned yet." Then another person said, 7 days ago, he disappeared without a trace while trying to save a little boy swept away by the flood. The rescue team searched for 7 days and couldn't find him. It's likely he's gone. They couldn't even find his body. The person's voice choked with emotion, and they started crying. My hands paused as I packed, and I sighed. He took his own child's life, and now he sacrificed his own life to save another child. In this way, for Marcus, it was a fitting end. I had been on a business trip with my boss for several months. Patricia, my mother-in-law, was convinced we were having an affair. She secretly followed us to the hotel, intending to catch us in the act and make me leave with nothing in a divorce. But then, she ended up in the wrong bed. Even crazier. The surveillance footage even showed someone, disheveled, sneaking out of the room. Spending all your time with a male boss, what good could come of that? A woman should be at home tending to her husband and raising children, otherwise, who knows when you'll bring home some other man's child. Patricia's shrill voice immediately pierced my ears the moment the elevator opened. I froze in the entryway, the keys in my hand clattering to the floor. Mom, don't talk about Sarah like that. She's just trying to earn more money. Chris's explanation was half-hearted. Earn money? Patricia sneered, who knows what kind of money she's earning? 3 months away from home, just the two of them. I took a deep breath, bent down to pick up the keys, and deliberately made a loud noise as I walked into the living room. I'm home. Chris was slumped on the sofa, his eyes darting nervously. Patricia, with her arms crossed, eyed me up and down. Sarah. She suddenly put on a smile, her wrinkles seeming to hide cunning calculations. I hear you stay in 5-star hotels on your business trips? The company arranged it, I replied, putting down my bag, trying to sound calm. Oh? And, were your rooms close to Mr. Julian's? My chest tightened. Mom, we were there for work, not a vacation. How the rooms are arranged is the company's business. Oh, I was just asking casually, why are you so defensive? Patricia's eyes narrowed to slits. Feeling guilty? Mom. Chris finally cut in. Stop talking. That night, Chris lay on the bed with his back to me, answering only with or oh no matter how I tried to talk to him. Staring at the new strands of white hair emerging on the back of his head, I suddenly felt very tired. The night before the business trip, I packed my luggage until late. Pushing open the bedroom door, I found Chris still awake, staring blankly at his phone. Honey? I called softly. He quickly locked the screen and shoved his phone under the pillow. Still not finished packing? No, I'm all set. I climbed into bed, wanting to lean on his shoulder, but he subtly shifted away. Honey. My eyes welled up. Do you suspect me too? He was silent for a long time, so long. Gee, I thought he wouldn't answer. Mrs. Miller in the neighborhood said. He finally spoke, his voice dry. Her niece used to work at your company and said Julian has a bad reputation. I trembled with rage. Mrs. Miller? That Miller who gossips downstairs every day. I don't even know who her niece is. Mr. Julian is meticulous in his work, everyone in the company knows that. Then why did he choose you specifically? Out of so many people in the company. Because I've been the top for 3 years straight. I practically shouted. Because my English is good enough to communicate directly with our foreign. Because I can increase project profits by 15%. Chris said nothing. In the darkness, I heard his heavy breathing. The next morning, as I dragged my suitcase out the door, Patricia, for the first time ever, stood at the door to see me off. Be careful on your trip. Her uncharacteristic kindness sent a chill down my spine. Sure enough, the next second she leaned in and whispered, remember, heaven is watching. I walked away without looking back, afraid that if I stayed another second, I'd say something outrageous. The project in Guangzhou was even trickier than I'd imagined. Julian and I worked over 16 hours a day, traveling back and forth between the client's office and the factory. After 3 months, I had lost 8 pounds, and Julian had dark circles under his eyes. Just a little longer, Julian said, handing me an iced after the 5th proposal was rejected. We'll be able to sign the contract next week. I took the coffee, my fingers accidentally brushing his arm. In that instant, I impulsively remembered Patricia's malicious suspicions and immediately recoiled as if shocked. Julian raised an eyebrow but said nothing. The night the contract was signed, the client insisted on celebrating. That night, I nearly drank myself to death. Fortunately, Mr. Julian helped me by taking a few drinks for me, and I was still somewhat coherent. But his eyes clearly showed he was drunk. I'll see Mr. Julian back to his room. Thank you, everyone, for your hospitality tonight. As I helped Julian into the elevator, he leaned his full weight against me, his warm breath fanning my ear. Sarah. This time. It's all thanks to you. Mr. Julian, please don't say that, it was a team effort. I tried hard to keep his restless hand still, afraid he might lose his balance and fall. With much effort, I got him to his room door and pulled the key from his suit. With a beep, the door opened. Just as I was about to help him inside, I suddenly heard a gasp from the end of the hallway. I turned to look, and my blood ran cold. Chris's mom, Patricia, wearing her signature purple floral dress, was staring at us, gaping in disbelief. Mom? I gasped, what are you doing here? Her face turned ashen, and without a word, she turned and ran. Wait. I wanted to chase her and explain, but Julian suddenly stumbled forward, almost collapsing. I had to get him into the room first. By the time I had Julian settled on the bed and rushed out to find Patricia, the hallway was already empty. I stamped my foot in frustration and quickly called Chris, but there was no answer. This is it. I leaned against the wall, my legs felt like jelly. With that old woman's personality, there was no telling what kind of story she'd spin. After searching for a long time and finding no one, I simply returned to my own room, planning to wash up and go to sleep. I'd explain everything slowly once I got home tomorrow. I just couldn't believe he wouldn't be swayed once I got my bonus and traded his car for a big SUV. When I woke up the next morning and checked my phone, my husband still hadn't contacted me. He must have been truly furious. Well, I had to pack up and head back. As I passed Julian's room, I knocked, planning to say hello. I glanced at the door, it was ajar. I tried pushing it open, and the result. The sight before me nearly made me faint. Patricia was lying on her back on the bed, and Julian was on top of her. Both were disheveled, a complete mess. Julian must have been so drunk he mistook Patricia for an escort? Even worse, the happy drool flowing from Patricia's mouth truly didn't look fake. I stood frozen for a full 3 minutes after entering. The two on the bed still didn't stir, merely shifting casually. Mr. Julian, get up. I rushed over and tried to pull him, but he was dead weight, impossible to move. At that moment, Patricia slowly opened her eyes. Feeling the scene was unfamiliar, she froze for 2 seconds, then quickly grabbed a piece of clothing nearby to cover her bloated stomach, smearing her foundation all over Julian's white shirt. Where is this? Help! Help me, Mom! Stop yelling! It's a misunderstanding. I was sweating profusely with anxiety, pulling Julian hard while explaining, he's drunk and mistook you for someone else. Sarah? Patricia finally recognized me, her expression twisting even further. She instantly realized what was happening and prepared to turn the tables. You and your boss are conspiring against me? No. I thought you had left, who knew you'd? I suddenly realized something. Wait, how did you get into this room? Patricia was instantly speechless, her eyes darting nervously. That's when I saw 2 keys on the nightstand. She actually went to the front desk and tricked them into giving her Julian's key, planning to catch him in the act? You were trying to. It dawned on me, and I trembled with rage. You were planning to catch him in the act to make me leave with nothing in a divorce? Patricia, furious with embarrassment, retorted, don't you dare slander me. I came to. Just then, Julian groggily opened his eyes. When he saw an old woman in her 60s beneath him, he sobered up considerably in an instant. He rolled onto the floor. What the hell? What's going on? I quickly shoved the key into my pocket. What followed was a scene of chaos. When the hotel security arrived, drawn by the commotion, this is what they saw. A wrinkled old woman wrapped in a bedsheet was wailing hysterically. A man in a suit knelt on the floor, seemingly in unbearable pain. And I stood beside them, holding half a bottle of mineral water, which I had originally intended to splash on Julian to wake him up. Ma'am. The security captain looked at me sternly. Please explain what happened. I opened my mouth, then suddenly found this situation so utterly absurd that I burst out laughing. If I told you this was a misunderstanding, would you believe me? The security captain frowned, clearly not believing my explanation. Patricia immediately seized the opportunity and started wailing at the top of her lungs. Oh, woe is me. I can't live like this. This beast has defiled this old woman. I'm calling the police. I'm going to make him go to jail. By now, Julian was completely sober, his face deathly pale, his lips trembling. I blacked out last night. I really don't remember anything. My temples throbbed with anger, and I rushed over, grabbing Patricia's hand. Mom, stop making a scene. Mr. Julian was drunk last night. There's no way he could have done anything to you. Patricia yanked her hand away, glaring at me fiercely. Of course, you're siding with him. You two have been having an affair all along, haven't you? Now you're ganging up to bully this old woman. Seeing the scene grow increasingly chaotic, the security captain picked up his walkie-talkie directly. Front desk, call the police. Room 1618, a dispute requires police intervention. My heart sank when I heard them say they were calling the police. Although genuinely hadn't done anything, if this got out, his company would be ruined. What about my bonus then? I quickly stopped the security captain. Wait. This is truly a misunderstanding. My mother-in-law is old, and she's not thinking clearly. She might have just walked into the wrong room. Patricia exploded when she heard me say that. Sarah, what do you mean? Are you calling me senile? She abruptly jumped off the bed, and her ample chest nearly came out of her clothes. The few people present quickly averted their eyes. Patricia didn't even notice her disgraceful state, pointing her finger at my nose and cursing. Fine. So now you're covering for your boss, and you don't even acknowledge your mother-in-law, do you? I couldn't take it anymore. I pulled out my phone. All right. Since you insist on making a big scene, let's call the police. Let's get a medical examination. Let's see exactly what Mr. Julian did to you. When heard the words medical examination, her eyes flickered visibly for a moment, but she quickly straightened her back. Examine away. Who's afraid of whom? Julian was completely panicked by now. He immediately stood up and grabbed my arm. Sarah, don't. This blowing up will be bad for everyone. At this critical juncture, we can't. I instantly felt like a defeated rooster. I awkwardly swallowed. Then, what should we do? Should we just admit it? Admit what? He looked at me in horror. Daddy. Julian's eyes widened instantly. He reached out and slapped me on the forehead. What the hell? Say that again. What did you just call me? I quickly pulled him aside. Hey, Mr. Julian, don't panic. At this critical juncture, we absolutely have to suppress this. We can't let the police get involved. Besides, I know Patricia. She's incredibly snobbish and materialistic. Just give her some compensation later, and this whole thing will be over. The man frowned, scanning me up and down. Are you serious? I quickly raised 3 fingers. Truer than true gold. Mainly, getting such a bargain, Dad, seemed pretty good. Julian's face instantly turned livid. He grabbed my wrist with such force I nearly cried out. Sarah, are you insane? If this gets out, how will I ever survive in the company? I gasped in pain but still had to explain in a low voice, Mr. Julian, Finn. About it. If this blows up, the company's stock will plummet, my year-end bonus will be gone, not to mention our project. Before I could finish, Patricia suddenly charged forward, swinging a hotel slipper at Julian's face. Aha! Trying to go back on your word now, are we? I'm telling you, this isn't over today. Either you marry me, or I'll go to your company and make a scene. No one will have an easy time of it. Julian and I exchanged a look, instantly gasping. She really dared to dream. Marry her. Mom, get a grip. I rushed forward to pull her away. You're 63 this year. Mr. Julian is only 36. People will laugh at us if this gets out. Patricia clung tightly to Julian. Age isn't a problem. I think this young Julian is quite handsome, much better than my deadbeat ex-husband. And he's quite the man in bed, quite impressive. I think he'll do. Julian's face turned green. Madam, please calm down. Don't say such things. Calm down, my foot. Patricia suddenly pulled out her phone from the nightstand, ripped open Julian's pants, and snapped a picture of his lower half. Irrefutable proof. If you don't take responsibility, I'll post this photo online right now. The title will be Company Executives Drunken, 60-year-old Tragically. Julian's legs went weak, and he nearly collapsed to his knees. Beads of fine sweat trickled down his forehead, and his Adam's apple bobbed nervously. He'd negotiated multi-million-dollar deals without ever being this flustered, yet now he was completely in the grasp of an old woman. Honestly, I was rather enjoying the show. Madam. Julian's voice cracked. Let's talk this through. Can you please delete the photo first? Patricia swung her phone triumphantly. Delete it? Do you take me for a fool? She suddenly turned and winked at me. Daughter-in-law, go get me a glass of water, Mom's thirsty. Me? ? That daughter-in-law made goosebumps crawl all over me. Yesterday she was calling me a vixen, and now she's changed her tune so quickly? Julian, seeing this, immediately ran over obsequiously and poured a glass of warm water, presenting it with both hands. Ma'am, please have some water. Patricia took the glass, took a slow sip, then suddenly frowned. Why isn't there any goji in this water? My daughter-in-law knows I must have 5 goji in my water. Julian. My stomach hurt from holding back laughter. I quickly pulled out the bag of goji I carried with me and counted 5 to put into Patricia's cup. The security personnel, clearly understanding the situation, slowly backed out, adhering to the principle of the less trouble, the better. Patricia nodded contentedly, then suddenly slapped her thigh. Oh, my back. That beast put me through quite a lot last night. 10 times, who could possibly withstand that? 100,000. Julian blurted out. Ma'am, I'll give you 100,000 in compensation. Patricia's eyes lit up, but she quickly put on a stern face. 100,000? Are you giving charity? How will I ever show my face again? 200,000. Julian gritted his teeth. Patricia snorted coldly and made to send the photo from her phone. 500,000. Julian was on the verge of tears. Ma'am, that's all the cash I have in my account. Patricia finally beamed with joy. Now that's more like it. I'll accept this compensation, and I'll be waiting at home for you to come propose. Julian's eyes widened, and he was about to burst, but I quickly pressed his hand, shaking my head lightly. A moment's impatience can ruin a great plan, buddy. I'm still waiting for my year-end bonus. Patricia suddenly grabbed my hand affectionately and said, Sarah, Mom was wrong about you before. Mr. Julian is indeed a good man, very generous, worth dealing with. Me. Veins bulged on Julian's forehead, and his fingers tapped loudly on his phone screen. Get your mother-in-law a mental evaluation within 3 days. I'll cover all expenses. I quickly typed back, shrugging my shoulders, Mr. Julian, please have mercy. Last time I told her dentures had food stuck to them, she chased me through 3 floors. No sooner had I sent the message than Julian's reply popped up, then trick her into a physical. My eyes lit up, and I quickly offered a suggestion. How about you say company executives are required to have a premarital checkup before marriage? And specifically check for, dementia markers? After sending that, I quickly added a kneeling for mercy emoji. Julian immediately rushed into the bathroom and sent a 60-second voice message. I opened it, trembling with trepidation. The first 59 seconds were just deep breaths, and the last second was a gritting teeth whisper, and check for rabies. When he came out of the bathroom, he looked quite unwell. By then, Patricia had already packed his suitcase perfectly, and she strode over to link arms with him. My dear Julian. Patricia, her face smeared with fluorescent pink lipstick, leaned closer to Julian. I hear they're checking fertility? Don't worry, even though I'm past menopause, my womb is very well preserved. Julian's knees went weak, and he nearly collapsed. Luckily, Patricia was quick to steady him. Ma'am, you've misunderstood, Julian said, his temples throbbing. I just wanted to take you for a routine physical. Patricia poked him hard with her elbow. Why are you calling me ma'am? Call me Mayphone. What the hell? My eyes. Someone please poke them out. It was utterly horrifying, utterly horrifying. The moment the plane landed, Julian pretended to take a call and left, leaving and me staring blankly at each other. Back home, Patricia was like a changed woman. The moment she stepped in, she yelled, Son, come out. Your wife is back, office, looking displeased. Mom, where were you last night? You didn't answer your phone. Where else would I go? I went to bring Sarah home. Patricia charged forward and grabbed Chris's ear. Look at you. Playing games at home every day, not even picking up your wife. Mr. Julian even knows to serve your mom tea and water. Chris had a bewildered look on his face. Mr. Julian? Which? Julian? Patricia smiled mysteriously, shyly covering her mouth. I awkwardly swallowed. Honey, Mom's right. Mr. Julian is indeed a good person. He even said he'd give me a promotion and a raise today. Chris's expression became even more dramatic. He grabbed me. Wife, come into the room with me, I need to talk to you. The moment we entered the bedroom, Chris lowered his voice. Sarah, what's going on with you and my mom? Why has she suddenly changed her tune? I sneered, what's wrong? You're not used to your mom not calling me a vixen anymore? Chris's eyes darted nervously. No. I just find it strange. Before he could finish, his phone suddenly rang. I glanced at it, the caller ID showed Lily. Chris hastily hung up, but I had already seen it. Oh, Mrs. Miller's niece, is it? I raised an eyebrow. She's calling you this late? Chris stammered, she just wanted to ask me something. Patricia suddenly pushed the door open, carrying a fruit platter. Sarah, Mom cut some fruit for you. Son, why is your face so pale? Before could speak, his phone rang again. Patricia, quick as a flash, snatched the phone and pressed the answer button. Hello? A sweet, sugary female voice came from the other end of the line. Honey, why did it take you so long to answer? How are things going? I've missed you. Patricia's face suddenly turned as dark as water. The fruit in my hand also instantly dropped to the floor. Getting things done? Getting what done? I was a bit confused. Chris, you beast. Patricia's scream nearly ripped off the roof as she grabbed the fruit platter and hurled it at Chris. Here I am helping you preserve your marriage, and you're off having an affair behind my daughter-in-law's back. Fruit splattered all over Chris's face, watermelon juice dripping down his chin. He awkwardly wiped his face, then suddenly sneered, Mom, what are you pretending for? Didn't you also climb into Mr. Julian's bed last night? Weren't you happy to collect that $500,000 in compensation? Patricia trembled with rage and grabbed my wrist. Sarah, let's go. This scumbag doesn't deserve to be your husband. Huh? What? No, why should I leave? Chris suddenly blocked the doorway, his eyes dark and sinister. Leave? Fine, but leave the compensation money. Slap. I couldn't take it anymore and slapped Chris across the face. You're shameless. Chris covered his face, then suddenly laughed. Sarah, what kind of person do you think you are? You went on a business trip with Julian for 3 months and couldn't even earn 500,000. You're not even as good as an old woman. Shut up. Patricia grabbed the table lamp, ready to throw it, but I quickly stopped her. Mom, let's go. I gave Chris a cold look. This kind of trash isn't worth getting upset over. Chris moved out of the way, sneering. Go on. Go find your Mr. Julian. Let's see how long your little triumph lasts. On the street late at night, Patricia and I dragged our suitcases, like two homeless wanderers. Something was very wrong with Chris tonight, but I couldn't figure out what the problem was. Mom, where are we going? My eyes welled up. Patricia smiled mysteriously, pulled out her phone, and dialed a number. Hello? Julian, my dear? My daughter-in-law and I are homeless, could you come pick us up? Half an hour later, Julian's mansion was ridiculously huge. Patricia wowed the moment she walked in, like a kid in a candy store. Oh my goodness! This floor is so shiny you could see your reflection. Patricia took off her shoes and slid around barefoot on the Italian imported marble floor. Julian, how much does this cost per square foot? Julian's mouth twitched. As long as you like it, ma'am. Patricia rolled her eyes. Why are you calling me ma'am? C.A. LL me Mayphone. With that, she rushed to the floor-to-ceiling window. Oh my God! This night view. Sarah, come quickly, it's clearer than our TV at home. She suddenly pointed downstairs. Hey, isn't that Mrs. Miller from our neighborhood? Why is she walking her dog downstairs? I leaned closer to look and almost burst out laughing. We were clearly on the 38th floor. Julian rubbed his temples. Ma'am, that's the Star Bay Light Show. Who cares what bay it is? Patricia had already darted to the wine cabinet, picking up a bottle of 82 Lafite and holding it up to the light. This soy sauce bottle is quite unique. I quickly snatched it away. Mom, that's wine. Wine. Patricia took a big swig directly from the bottle, smacked her lips, and said, it's not as potent as cheap. Julian's face was as black as a pot. That night, when it was time to sleep, Patricia insisted on sharing a bed with Julian. I honestly just wanted to find a hole to crawl into. But this was, after all, between them, and I had no right to speak. Julian saw that I had no intention of helping. A vein pulsed in his forehead, then he suddenly turned around and slammed the bedroom door shut with a bang. Oh, what a short temper. Patricia stamped her foot, then turned and winked flirtatiously at me. Men, they just love to play hard to get. Patricia and I decided to make do on the sofa for the night. That night, the living room sofa bore a weight it shouldn't have at its age. Patricia's snoring shook the fish tank so much the goldfish were bumping into the glass. The next morning, Patricia was gone. A note was left on the dining table. Sarah, Mom went to buy your favorite pan-fried buns and check out the local market. Love, your. Julian, cold-faced, pushed a tablet in front of me. Look at this. On the surveillance screen, 11 hours 23 minutes and 17 seconds I helped a dead-drunk Julian into the room. 31 minutes and 45 seconds Patricia stealthily snuck in with a keycard swipe. 0:35 and 3 seconds AM man in a baseball followed her in. 58 minutes and 26 seconds. The man rushed out the door, pulling up his pants as he ran. Explain. Julian's voice was icy cold. I stared at the familiar stumbling gait on the screen, and my throat suddenly tightened. Mr. Julian. Are you okay? Sarah. He snapped the pen in his hand. Can you just focus on what's important? I swear. I held up 3 fingers. If I had any part in this setup, let my year-end bonus be completely gone. Julian narrowed his eyes, then suddenly grabbed the leopard underwear had left behind and flung it at my face. Go get answers. I awkwardly caught the hot potato. As I rushed out the door, I faintly heard him on the phone. Yes, book the most reputable psychiatric expert, one who can issue a mandatory hospitalization certificate. In the back seat of the taxi, I stared blankly at the wad of fabric in my hand. When the driver glanced at me for the 3rd time in the rearview mirror, I finally sighed in despair. I can't live like this anymore. When I burst through the front door, Chris was lying on the sofa playing a game, the coffee table piled with takeout boxes. Oh, did Mr. Julian kick you out? He didn't even look up, his fingers frantically pressing buttons on the game, his words laced with sarcasm. I threw my bag directly at his face. The metal clasp left a red mark on his forehead. Chris, was that man in the baseball in the surveillance video you? His game console clattered to the floor. Chris's expression froze instantly, and his pupils constricted violently. What baseball? Don't play dumb. I pulled out my phone and played the video, my fingers trembling. Last night at the hotel, a few minutes after your mom entered Mr. Julian's room, a man followed her in. Halfway through the video, Chris suddenly lunged like a raging lion to snatch the phone. Sarah, are you ing spying on me? I had anticipated this and sidestepped, dodging him. So it really was you? What were you doing in Julian's room? You didn't. Chris's Ace turned livid. Stop spouting nonsense. Get your filthy thoughts out of your head. He wiped his face, then lowered his voice. As long as you don't say anything, he won't find out. Click, the sound of a key turning suddenly echoed. Patricia burst in flamboyantly, waving a stack of documents in her hand. Chris, I got it. I got the confidential information you wanted. Instantly, the three of us in the room stared wide-eyed at each other. I glimpsed the large characters new project parameters on the documents, and my blood ran cold. You used me to steal Julian's business secrets? Chris, how could you? Are you out of your mind? I bent down to pick up my phone from the floor, preparing to dial 911. The moment my fingertip touched the screen, splat. Chris instantly charged over and stomped on my phone, shattering the screen, the cracks fanning out like a spiderweb. He grabbed my collar, his eyes terrifyingly sinister. Call the police? Sarah, do you think you're walking out that door? No, don't do this, Chris, let's talk this through. He had no patience for my words. He grabbed my collar and started dragging me. I was roughly pulled into the bedroom, my head hitting the corner of the bed hard. The sharp pain made my vision blur, and a strong metallic taste filled my mouth. Patricia strolled in leisurely, idly twirling a utility in her hand. The blade glinted coldly in the light as she gently traced it across my face. TSK, what a shame to ruin such a pretty face. Mom, calm down. My voice trembled, my back pressed tightly against the headboard. Shut up. Who's your mom? The knife tip pressed harder, and a stinging pain shot across my cheek. Do you think I really cared about that 500,000? She pulled out her phone and played a recording. Mom, as long as we get Julian's new energy data, Lily said her side can immediately give us 8 million. It was Chris's voice. I suddenly looked up. Lily? Mrs. Miller's niece. Chris let out a cold laugh. She's now the vice of Corin. Back when Julian was blind enough to overlook her at your company, now you couldn't even dream of being in her league. Now you're conspiring to steal trade secrets? I went cold all over. So, you two have been in cahoots all along? Chris impatiently stood up. Mom, keep an eye on her. I'm going to deliver the goods. Patricia nodded. Don't worry, son. Hurry back. The moment the security door closed, Patricia kicked me hard. You little wretch, did you really think I considered you my daughter? Just look at the state of you. After slapping me a few more times, she hummed a tune and went to the living room, where the TV blared. In the dim bedroom, I struggled to twist my wrists. Suddenly, a faint click. A soft sound came from the window. Through the gap, a dark lens was pointed into the room. Julian's figure suddenly climbed through the window, landing with almost no sound. His left hand held a phone, recording, while his right forefinger was raised to his lips. Don't make a sound. The police will be here in 30 minutes. My eyes wide, I whispered, this is the 5th floor. How did you get up here? Fire escape. He answered curtly, pulling a folding knife from his suit pocket and quickly cutting the ropes binding me. The files Chris took are fake. The real information is here. A cold USB drive slipped into my collar. His long fingers brushed my collarbone unintentionally as he handed it to me, making me flinch. Listen. He glanced at his wristwatch. The police will operate under the premise of a robbery. You need to make sure Patricia gets this USB drive to solidify the charge of her stealing trade secrets from my house. I clutched the USB drive, my throat tightening. You're not taking me with you? Julian had already turned towards the window. At my words, he glanced back at me. 5th floor, fire escape. Are you sure? The howling wind outside the window answered his question. ISH. Evered, silently shaking my head. Never mind. I have more important things to do. Good. A barely perceptible curve touched his lips. Count to 3,000, and the police will bust through the door. Before that, he leaped out the window, his last words fading into the night wind. Don't die. Wait for me. When the siren sounded, my heart rate suddenly accelerated. Suddenly, the bedroom door was kicked open. Patricia stormed in, her face contorted with rage, the utility knife gleaming menacingly. You little wretch. Did you call the police? Cross my heart, it wasn't me. I said that from the bottom of my heart. She grabbed my hair, pressing the knife point to my throat. You want to send me to jail? I'll send you to your grave first. My hair was pulled, tears sprang to my eyes from the pain, but the thick history book hidden behind me was ready to strike. Seriously, this thing was harder than a brick. Mom, calm down. I feigned panic, but with a flick of my wrist, the thick spine of the book slammed hard onto her wrist. Ow, she shrieked, and the utility knife clattered to the floor. You ungrateful wretch. She lunged at me, clawing at my throat, and I grabbed her hair, slamming her head onto the floor. Thud, the USB drive slipped from my bra and bounced twice on the floor. Both of us froze. What's this? Her clouded eyes suddenly lit up. No, that's not. I pretended to panic and reach for it. Patricia exploded with surprising force, kicking me far away, snatching up the USB drive, and rushing out the door. Ha ha ha, heaven is on my side. Once I get 8 million, I'm leaving this cursed place. I collapsed on the floor, listening to her footsteps fade, and let out a slow sigh. Acting was exhausting, and I'd taken a few kicks for nothing. A few seconds later, police cars surrounded the neighborhood. A searchlight swept across the windows. I saw Chris pinned down by the flower bed, and Patricia was arrested in another alley. 3 days later, in J. Julian's office, the TV was broadcasting the news. Suspects and Chris are wanted for commercial espionage and assault and battery. Accomplice was arrested at the airport. Julian turned off the screen and pushed a stack of files towards me. Here are the divorce papers and your promotion notice. The amount they're involved in is enough to rot in jail for life. Your divorce is guaranteed. I froze. You knew their plan all along? Knew what? Did you know your mother-in-law would show up in fishnet stockings in my bedroom? Or that your husband would be rummaging through my safe in the middle of the night? God, what an awkward question. Julian suddenly chuckled softly, tapping his fingers twice on the tablet. The surveillance footage showed Patricia slipping a cash gift into the hotel front desk clerk's hand, while the clerk discreetly handed her a keycard. My eyes widened, and I quickly swiped to the next video. Chris stealthily slipped into the room and searched for a long time without finding what he wanted. The mother and son then came to a quick agreement to frame Julian and steal from his house. How to frame him? The only way was to stage a caught-in-the-act scenario. That was quite a plan. I was stunned. Entertaining, wasn't it? Julian's gaze at me was full of playful mockery. I'm not an idiot. You and your mother-in-law brazenly moved into my house. I couldn't just stand by defenseless. So that very night, I saw that sneaky old woman on the surveillance footage. Combining it with my recent projects, I discreetly left some documents in my study, and sure enough, she took them. Julian flicked some ash, then stubbed out his cigarette but in the ashtray, the smoke dissolving into the sunlight. He looked up at me, his gaze carrying a hint of playful mockery. Now, what are you going to do? I clutched the divorce papers, my fingertips trembling slightly. Thank you. Thank me for what? He raised an eyebrow. I pressed my lips together and couldn't help but laugh. Thank you for not making me go to jail with them. He scoffed, pulling a new contract from a drawer and pushing it over. Promotion and a raise, head of overseas projects. You fly to London next Monday. I froze. So soon? What's wrong? He stood up, slowly adjusting his cuffs. Don't want to leave me? Sunlight spilled from behind him, outlining his tall, imposing figure. I chuckled. You're right, I don't want to leave my old man. You. His eyes narrowed slightly, and he let out a low chuckle, reaching out to ruffle my hair, as if I were a cranky cat. Sarah. I booked you a single room at the hotel. My ears burned, and I grabbed the contract, turning to leave. Lazily, he added from behind me, don't let your mother-in-law find out. His clear laughter followed.